The purpose of this video is to briefly showcase the kind of work that I'm capable of producing. This tool, the Data Gator, was designed and built by me, Peter Warren, during a global major project to transform financial data records from an Oracle General Ledger into uploadable journal entry files for an SAP system. It's built with Microsoft Access with extensive Visual Basic coding included in it. All the code was written by myself, apart from some late modifications made after I'd moved on from the project. The database was a key asset in a major transformation program and was used to convert millions of records. It was also used to provide an audit trail and to produce reconciliation reports between source and target systems. The way that finance documents are posted into SAP systems is driven by the field status group settings on each GL account, and this determines what other information is required in order for the document to post successfully. For example, when you post to a cost account in the P&L, SAP will require a cost object such as a cost center or a WBS element or an internal order. Or when you post to an intercompany account, SAP will require you to supply a trading partner information. At the heart of the Data Gator is a rules-based engine which derives the relevant accounting information for each posting rule based on a rule assigned to each GL account. The main part of the code loops through each record in the input file and calls the relevant functions for each rule. Just taking a quick look at the code to show you what kind of coding is in there. So the code is such a way that it is fairly logical, has whole loads of added notes so that it's easy for people to read and understand what it is, and has the usual kind of change log at the front. So this is part of the change log, shows what things have been in there. Then right at the beginning, all of the objects are defined, so all of the data sets, the databases, tables and so on, and then various things for lookup strings for various parts of it, header lines and various other things like that. Then there's all the functions. So for example, function get file, function get files, file rename, create a file. The output from the tool is basically a CSV file that can be posted into SAP via an LSMW script, which basically posts it using the batch posting process using the program RFBIBL. So the output needs to look like a standard file that's used by the RFBIBL program. So here, for example, we're defining what the header for the batch session looks like, and then the header for the actual batch of the invoice of the document, and then the various lines of the document are posted or written. Each function is called as it's writing the file and right through the looping. The main part of the engine is, as I mentioned before, the heart of this is the looping through the data, looking at what the GL account is, and then determining which rules to apply to go and look up the mappings from the old Oracle account into a new SAP account, or to apply some kind of default logic to derive the relevant objects, like if no cost center is applied and the account requires one, then apply a default cost center. Go and look that up in a table and apply that default cost center. So run Data Gator is the main part, which says call do it data file, and then this whole loop here, sub do it with the file name as a string, goes and does this whole thing. And basically it's looping through from here, gets at the beginning, gets the data file, reads through the data file. First thing it does is get the company code, which is a fairly obvious, just a one-to-one lookup, and then it starts to go through looking at the second segment of the Oracle coding, which is the GL account. So segment 2, S2 rules fields. It basically reads through those and then says, right, okay, what is the rule? And depending which a rule has been assigned to that account, it will go and call each one of these functions. So for example here, if the rule is a rule number 3, first thing it do is go and look up what the mapping for the GL account is, old Oracle code to new SAP code, and then it will require a rule 3 is one of those that requires an internal order, so it calls the get internal order. It also will need a transaction type or a movement type, and it will also need a profit center. So if the rule is 3, it needs to go and do these 4 things, whereas if the rule is number 4, then it doesn't need an internal order or a transaction type, it just needs a GL account and profit center, so it does these 2 things, etc. And there's about 13 or 14 of these rules, sorry, 16 of these rules, and it will go and do each one of those and write the results into a results table. So if we go back to the database to have a look at it, this is the database coming back into view here. The first thing we can do is import the data from Oracle General Ledger files. These were files that were extracted using a piece of SQL script and just basically writing them out as text files. And then these are read into the database and read in via this script. If I pull that, it tells you what it will do, read the file in. I'm not going to read the file in because I've already got some data in here just to show you how it works. So I'm going to cancel that, but that will read a file in. If the file contains multiple entities, which the extract from the Oracle system did, it was a whole system and a whole set of books were extracted month by month, so they contain multiple entities. So this piece of code basically reads through that whole file and then splits it up into multiple files for each entity or company code, and then you can run the translation on each one of those individually, and when you get to number 5, create load files for the batch input, it will actually go through and create files. So if we look here at these various bits of reviewing, so view the results table, there's some results for the data. If I delete that, so I'm going to remove the results table, so there's no data in the results table right now. View the data file table, I've got 316 records in the data file table from a file that was read in. So this is the Oracle coding block with segments 1, 2, 3 through to 8, and that's the old Oracle code. What I've done is to use the SG text field out of SAP and populate that with the full string of the Oracle code. So basically when these are posted as journal entries, you'll be able to see in the new system where the source of that entry was in the old Oracle system for transparency. And then I'm giving it a document date and a posting date for the period that I want to post in. These ones I was trying to create a document for an opening balance period. Then I've got the currency that the transaction was in, or the set of books were in. So these ones, Malaysian ringgit, and some of these were already US dollars. The group currency in this case was a US dollar, and I've got an amount in document currency and amount in group currency. Some of these other fields were there for certain things but not required. So that's the data that I'm trying to convert. When I do the run the data Gator, it's reported down at the bottom there, number of records processing, so you can see how it's done. 316 records were converted, took 2 seconds, click OK, and we get the answer, the ability to write the file out if we want to save it for later. So I can put results demo. Oh, sorry, that's the folder name. I'll just write it to documents data Gator, and the file will write to network. I will write that out. So test .txt. Forget that, the path wasn't defined. So now I can go and view the results, and that's the results of the translation there. So each record, it's determined what the rule ID is from there. It's written that in there, and it's translated the company codes, GL accounts, group accounts, profit centers, transaction types, partners, etc. And got various other pieces of information in there for also determines what the SAP functional area is and writes all that data out. I'm going to close that, and then from the results file, the create load files for batch input, this will create a new file or set of files. So the files will be written to the directory C users Pete's documents. I'm going to just click OK and let them write the files out. So you have the option to produce files from the data that you just converted, or you can import the results of a previous conversion and produce output files. So I'm going to cancel this and allow it to run the data that I've just converted. So click OK. Down the bottom there, 316 records from the results table have been written out into files in the directory C users Pete's documents. So if I click OK and then just click produce files from converted data, no. It also runs through and looks at any records that were intercompany and produces intercompany documents as well to be posted. So that clicks OK. So now if I look in the thing called C users directory, it's this one, and look at the files that were just written. So the time now is 21:19, 7th of the 4th. So each one of these files were just written out. These are all CSV files, and they've all been given numbers. So this is entity 336 period, opening balance period, USD, intercompany. So that one will be a journal entry which will be read by an LSMW script and loaded into SAP. If you look at the data in that file, just double click that, that'll open up with Excel, and just have a look in there. So basically this is a file, so that is to be read by the LSMW script and following the format that SAP requires. So here we've got the batch header, and then we've got the journal header, and then the row 2 is all the journal lines, together with the posting keys that have been generated by my program, and the document currency, local currency and group currency, and these will be posted with a FBB1 transaction. And this is the item text, and then there's various other fields in there for SAP. Now we just go back to the item itself, so have a look at a couple of other bits and pieces. So yeah, that's basically the main part of the database. As I say, all the code was created by myself. If we look at the old F11 again, view, design view, tons of tables in there, queries, all sorts of stuff to do this, and this program was used extensively, as I say. So if we go to home, also Alt F11, Alt F11 to open up the code. Closer. There's the code, and all of the code is there. So various things, producing these files, split the files, create document files in IDOC format, as well as doing the batch file. So this is the create batch file that's just created all those files. Basically we'll go and read through that and go and run this. So here we also do some stuff like if we need to produce a output for the CSV file, this one is running a piece of SQL, so we're basically creating an SQL script here. Select results, company code as company code, data file, posting date, all these fields are the select statement, and then we've got from data file with an inner join on the results file on data file ID equals results ID, and then sorts it out how to post the data out, and then it goes and writes the file. That's it. I hope that gives a good overview of what I can do with Microsoft Access and the kind of things that I'm able to do with data migrations.